Hi guys, this is my first live ever, and the fact that I'm here at this point means that I can do it. I can do it. I told myself I wanted to do a live, and I set it to do it at 11, and here I am. It's never easy to do the things that you're not used to, you're not comfortable with. And it will be funny if I tell you that I sometimes feel like am not comfortable before the camera, or is it that maybe that shyness just comes in? But I said, whatever, let me just plunge in and do this. And yes, I cannot wait to do more of this, guys. So thank you so much for coming. Let me tell you guys. Immediately I started, the internet just did that thing. Like it just went off. But I'm glad I'm back. I called my service provider. I told him I just started a meeting and the internet just, but I'm glad that he has fixed it. So I don't know where to start, but let me just start by saying thank you so much for being here and thank you so much for watching my videos. Guys, we are now at 600. I believe that at the end of the year, we should be past 1000. Like I truly believe that. So if you're new, my name is Karen. If you're not, thank you so much. I truly appreciate those who keep coming back and back and back again. So, as I said in the beginning, I had set out to do a live, but within me, I was fearful. I was like, will anyone come? Will anyone want to listen to me? Will anyone want to hear what I say? How will I look? Because this one is raw and unedited. Like, will I say something that I will not be sure of? Will I have that opportunity again to just go over it and see what I need to remove, what I need to add, what I need to say, I meant this, and all that. But I told myself, you know what? To hell with fear, like literally to hell with fear. And here is faith, me being live. Guys, so as the topic suggests, struggling and also just abundance mentality. So I have been reading a book that has been resonating well with me. Like, you know me. If you know me, anything that a plug or anything that I find that is good, I just connect you. And this is the book. It's called It's Not Your Turn by Heather Thompson. It's Not Your Turn. And truth is, I had kept away this book for quite some time. So, because I didn't want to open it, I didn't want to be confronted by the reasons why it is not my turn. And let me tell you, one of the reasons why I didn't want to open it is I just don't want to be told, you're not ready for what you're expecting God to do for you. You're not in the right space. I don't want that because I feel like I've been in the right space for forever. I don't know for you, like if you're waiting on God for something, you don't want to be told you're not ready. Like, then what do you do to be ready? And the things that probably you are being told in order to be ready, they feel like afar off. But opening this book was one of the best decision I ever made. And it's just last week, but the book is so impactful. I've actually made a decision in my head that I am going to buy my friends this book. I'm going to buy, especially those that I know are in a waiting season for some sort of thing, those that we are journeying together and they are trusting God for something. I'm gonna buy it. Like I asked the where I bought it, I asked that person, are there more copies of this? And if you're waiting on God for anything, if you're waiting on God to build, if you're waiting on God for a land, if you're waiting on God for, for a child, if you're waiting on God for a spouse, if you're waiting on God for a job, if you're waiting on God for that visa application, if you're waiting on God for the next move for your ministry, I would encourage you to get this book. It's Not Your Turn by Heather Thompson. So what resonated with me very much, and I'm glad that I have my short notes here. What resonated with me very much is the point of struggling. And there's this just question she asked, when struggle is all I know, what is it, like what happens when all I know is struggle? And it took me back to growing up. Guys, I am from Western Busia, but I didn't grow up there. I grew up in Nakuru, raised there, and went to school around Nakuru before I moved to Kisumu, then moving back again to Nairobi. I didn't come from a very well-off family, and I think that sometimes we say that just for the sake of saying that, like true, we didn't come up from a well-off family, but we survived, and I am truly glad for those seasons because hey, they're teaching me, like, it's not a shock right now. They're teaching me how to survive. They're teaching me how to, how to live, and after my mom passed on, things took a turn for not good. Things took a turn for not good. My mom passed on while I was still in boarding school. And then after that, I lived with an auntie of mine. And high school all through, then going to campus, it wasn't easy, guys. I actually worked in the library. We had this thing called what is the name? Something about students or work program for students, and I thank God for that because it gave me an opportunity to earn something and to be able to like afford the basic necessities while I was in school. I also used some of the money that I would get from there to to just pay my school fees. But then I knew struggling. Like for a course of 4 years, I spent 7 years, guys. 7 years, 7 good years. And I would see my friends go and some come back. And it got to a point that I developed a very good attitude of just knowing I am here. Like, I know I am here. It's not by accident that I'm here. I know what I want to achieve at the end of the day. So I went on with in campus, and after 7 years I graduated with my degree. I actually used to joke that I am taking what, medicine, those courses that are above the normal 4 years. I used to joke like that, and I didn't thing is, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed campus. So I did every sort of work. I used to say that anything, I will do anything. I will do anything to just be in school. I'll do anything to keep me there. But so I used to knit, I used to do beadwork, I used to sell stuff. I was used to that life because my daddy could not be able to afford to put me probably in a good hostel, and it was just not easy. So right after campus, one area that God just favored me in terms of struggling, which I have not, is finding work. Finding work, and I keep saying this: finding work has never been a problem for me, and it's because I believe that I have something to bring. So after campus, I started, doing my internships and just volunteering. And it wasn't long after I got the job that I am currently in. Actually, when I got this job, I was already working at another place. But like, looking back, I raised myself. I knew how to survive. And I did not know this until a friend of mine, like, I'm looking at my life and a friend of mine, the comparison, but in a good way. I would wonder, like, how are people done for birthdays? Like, how are you being provided for? Because for me, money was just to survive. Like, struggling helped me to survive. And that's where I'm coming to with this video. That sometimes, and this book that I have mentioned, like, I read it and I thought, does this person know my life? Does this person know my life? Because there's a part where she says that sometimes our struggles can be a part of us so much that it becomes hard to imagine a life that isn't defined by that area of brokenness. Let me tell you guys, I get my job. I moved to where I am currently. I'm currently in Nyeri, and that's the first time now I'm living away, from relatives, from home. And I have now to furnish my house all by myself, start buying seeds. But I had already started doing that when I was doing my internships, and also doing my masters. That's also another story. So I remember this one time I wanted to buy I wanted to buy a TV, I wanted to buy a cooker, all those things, what I would consider big purchases. Let me tell you what coming from a lack mentality does. I struggled buying my cooker. Tell me if you're that kind of person or if you relate with that experience. I struggled buying my cooker. And were it not for my friend who would tell me, like, she would ask me, do you need it? I'm like, for sure, I do need it. But I am struggling to imagine that I would remove 30,000 and buy a cooker. I would remove 20 and buy a unit, a music unit or a TV. I'm like, do I really need it? So it has been a journey because I have never known any other life. Like the money I would receive, I either used it to pay my school fees or I used it to buy the things that I needed, for survival. So I grew up like looking at people that are well provided for, and I'm like, how lucky are they? But then that didn't stop me from just going all out and doing it. So when I read that statement that sometimes our struggles can be a part of us so much that it becomes hard to imagine a life that is not defined by that. And so I see that stepping into even seemingly good things becomes scary because you have never known any goodness, like, and that's why it can be it you find ourselves or someone like me, or if you're relating, you would run away from a good relationship developing, or run away from a good job opportunity, run from people who are trying to help you because fear activates what our pattern is, like someone who is provide you find someone who is providing for you, who is taking care of you, who is showing you love. You're like, this one will end. I don't trust this one will end just as soon as it started. And so you're like, I'd rather be safe where I know, I'd rather be safe where I am. Like, if I can stop this, the sooner I can stop this, the sooner I will help myself to not hurt. And I found that to be so true for myself. But the one thing I am glad that didn't do for me, the one thing that I am glad all the struggle, what it did for me is that it helped me to push myself forward. Like, whatever comes, I am here for it. Let me tell you, I was a yes person. Like, yes, I can do this, yes, I can do this, yes, I can do this. Not in a it can be borderline, it can be good and also bad, but I look at it in the way that I had a good view of myself and what I am capable of doing. Because looking back, I'm like, how did I even have the courage to step forward when I thought I could not be able to? So when you have gone through this, you'll find that most people do not have a good realistic view of themselves. They don't think they are good enough, they don't think they're smart enough, they don't think they are fun enough. I mean, look at where you are right now and think maybe let's not just go far. Think maybe 2 years ago, if you are told you'll be in the position that you are in. I mean, you looked at yourself and you're like, I'm not deserving of that, because you are looking at yourself, And yes, so most of us have very not good realistic view of ourselves. We say we are not strong enough. We say we are not smart enough. We say we are not funny enough. We are not popular enough. We are not eloquent enough. I have said that numerous times. I'm not eloquent enough. I actually just joke and say I don't know how to, like, there's some people who are good, and then there's me. I'm thinking I don't know how to speak before people. But then when I come out of stage and people are like, oh, you did so well. By the way, that is when I know that God was involved in this. So eloquent enough, or you just think you can never be anyone special. But if you're a believer, you know that God says, I am. When Moses asked him, like, what do I tell the children of Israel when they come to me? I mean, when they ask who has sent me, and God said, I am. God would have chosen to say, tell them it's their savior. God would have chosen to say, tell them it's their provider or their healer or their redeemer or their provider. But God chose to say, I am. So in the I am, you can find everything that you need. Like, I am is enough. I am peace. I am comfort. I am shelter. I am everything that you need. And what a better way, what a better way for God to identify himself that I am. So it is I am, you are not. It is God, I am, and you are. So because God is, then you are. So it's not about who you are, what you are, it's about who God is. There's no assignment. This line, I came across it and I found it to be very profound and deep. That there's no assignment that God gives you that he expects you to accomplish all by yourself. Come on! Humility. My God, when I just like pause to think about it, that there's no assignment that God gives you that he expects you to accomplish all by yourself. You can do nothing, absolutely nothing by yourself. Like, this one just takes the load off me. Like, whatever is placed on me, whatever is given to me, I can handle, not because it is I, but because God can, because God can through me. I mean, we can do all things through Christ. I can do all things through Christ. So this statement, and I think I want just to, I would put it at the front of my office, on my office desk, so that I know whatever challenge comes my way. Like, I'm not the big man. I'm not the big. I'm not the super smart person. I'm not all that, but he is. So if you need to write this down, there's no assignment that God gives you that he expects you to accomplish all by yourself. So stop with all that, kuji. It also helps me not to chest thump, knowing that there's nothing, absolutely nothing I can do. So that it kills pride, but it also makes me show up for whatever assignment that I am giving. So, as I thought about me not being able to do this, me not being able to speak, I came also across this, that our human ability to communicate is one of the most powerful gifts to humanity. And here we often sit unsure of whether we have anything worth saying. Let me tell you, my darling, there's no one like you. There's no one like you. There's no one who can influence like you do. And influence from your home, influence at the church, influence at your workplace. There's a way you do things differently than any other person. I mean, our hands, are a testament to that. This thing, how do they call them? This, you can never find someone who has exactly the same as yours. So, whatever you need to do, imagine there's just something that you do that no one else can. And the minute you learn that, the time you realize that, then you go out knowing that I have something of value to offer. You don't look down on yourself. You don't, woshe, pity party yourself. No, I can do it. Like, I can do it. I am smart. And so, how do we overcome that? How do we overcome that struggling, lack mentality? How do we do that? One thing I have learned also from this book is that our brain is always storing memories, and memories are often created when we experience deep events deeply tied to emotions. Create memories for your brain. Create memories that your brain can be able to go back to when it's faced with something similar to what you're going through. And you don't want to be giving it, negative things, because that is what it will back up to. So because past experiences of being, like, this is an example, past experiences of being left will make it difficult for me or for you to envision a God who stays. So don't just linger on the bad thoughts, respond to them and interrupt them. So give your brain positive ground to stand on. How do you do this? Create new memories, for your brain to respond to. New experiences will forever change what you see. New experience will change how you see things. And there's this story of, is it Elisha? Elisha had seen so many miracles. Remember, he had worked with Elijah. And when he was with Elijah, I think there's a part here. Let me just open. Karibu sana Rose Gold. Karibu sana. This part I actually I don't want you to miss it. It says, Elisha has a brain wired with experiences where God provided. So Elisha is the same man mentored by Prophet Elijah, who literally shows up with Jesus at the transfiguration and all this. So Elisha has seen the hand of God before. So in 2 Kings chapter 3, Elisha sees God bring water in a desert, okay? In 2 Kings chapter 4, Elisha sees God fill empty jars with oil. In 2 Kings chapter 4 verse 8, Elisha sees God make a barren woman pregnant. Okay, guys? And in 2 Kings chapter 4 verse 32, he sees God bring a dead boy back to life. Like, imagine this is what he has been seeing. And it's not us that Elisha was holy, it's that Elisha had all these miraculous experiences. And so when the servant sees an army about to overtake them, Elisha says, the same God who has provided for him all along. Don't be afraid, the prophet answered. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. How could he be able to say this? How could he be so convicted to say this? It's because he has seen. And so he prays to God. Open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see. Then the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and they looked and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. Imagine, and that is what God can do. So for you to fill your brain with things, with possibilities, what do you see? What do you see? What do you see God doing for you? And our prayer is that God will give us eyes that see, because in our own eyes, our own broken eyes, we tend to miss what God is doing. We don't know the future. The future is so unknown to us. But at times, because of the future being unknown to us, we miss out on the steps that God has done. Like, look at your life and look back at how God has been so good to you. You might be at a place in the valley of the shadow of death. You might be at a place where things are not working out, things are not looking okay. But you can be able to look back and see. Like, even for me, when I look back and see how God has been so good to me, I have things that God has done for me. I have ways that God has come through for me, miracles which I'll be sharing with you guys soon, even as we go on. So those things will make me be confident that you know what, even amidst this, God is going to come through. So that is one of the things that we can do, that we can fill our minds with past experiences, or we can fill our minds, with new memories for our brains to respond to when we are faced with lack, when we are faced with scarcity, when we are faced with that temptation. I'm like, God, I passed through this some time back and you came through for me. So I know that I will be able to go forward. Yes, so number 2 is to have faith over fear. Fear, let me tell you, the term frozen with fear is very literal. And I learned that fear triggers past negative experience. Fear triggers past negative experiences. It shuts down our essential bodily functions. It causes our brain to lose the ability to think clearly. And then when bad things is all we know, the possibility of something good creates a fear of what we cannot control. And that is what fear does. On the opposite, faith creates hope. Faith creates you're able to walk and know majestically that my God will come through for me. Last week I was with my friend, and I loved this example. We were watching another YouTube channel, and then my friend was like, wow, what does this girl think she is? This girl believes so highly of herself. So it doesn't matter what you see, And she was telling me, now it's time to be Oh, she told me the Lulu is the Lulu. I come to Nairobi and I learn new terms. The Lulu is this like delusion. Being delusional is the new solution. And looking at it now as a child of God, that you don't have to be delusional. There's a God who has called you to be much more than you think or imagine. So it's not you being delusional. I am great. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am an overcomer. Like, even before I go to the battlefield, I am an overcomer. Victory is guaranteed for me. So faith over fear. Have faith over fear. So instead, when you're faced with a situation and you're feeling like, this one I cannot, can you please just activate faith in you? Believe that God will come through for you. And let me say that at times faith can just be very embarrassing. People will look at you and they're wondering, what are you doing? Like, are you sure? Like, we've been on this journey before and we have not seen anyone. But guys, one thing I know about God is that He would not want to be put to shame. This week, I was in a situation where I just needed God to come through for me. I'm like, God, I'm going out. I'm going out, but it is you on the line. It is you on the line, you know? And God would be moved by that. Like, my child is believing that I can be able to do this. Then who am I? You know, who am I? Look at when a child is playing this, when they throw themselves and an adult is behind them, could be a father or a mother or someone they trust. They don't even care how they, they fall back. They just, go back, and they know that someone will catch them. Can you imagine if a dad would throw their child up in the air and just fold their arms? That's scary to think, But this God knows that He can handle us. And I love this other thing I learned, that a God who was able to handle a dead body, and that is of Christ. A God who was able to raise it. A God who was able to raise a dead body can handle a living one. So you are not such a, how do I say it? You are not, according to God's budget, even a minuscule is too much. Like, God has all the resources He needs to take care of you. God, actually, He is the source. Through Him, we live and move and have our being. The other thing that we can do to help us overcome the lack mentality is to speak kindly to ourselves. Speak kindly to ourselves. I was watching this, that there was an experiment, a plant experiment that was done. One plant was being showered with love, spoken to in a nice way, and then this other plant was being shown hate. Actually, it's written there. This is it hate? Like, this one was being showered with love, spoken to kindly, and then this one was not being spoken to kindly. And let me tell you, the person who would water, like, oh, you're so beautiful, I want you to grow, as she waters them. I want you to grow, you'll be a very, all the good things. And then on this other end, anaimwagia maji, like, ataki kuimwagia, there's nothing good that can come out of you, blah, 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 blah. And let me tell you, from that experience, from that experiment, you would see that after a few days, the one that was being spoken to kindly grew. It was healthy, and the other one that was not being spoken to kindly, was being shown hate, being mean words, did not prosper. It actually started to wither. And that got me thinking, if speaking kindly to plants helps them to grow, imagine what speaking kindly to humans can do. Like, have you ever seen people speaking to children? Oh, you're so beautiful. You're so kind. Oh, cute. What a big baby. You can do it. When they're learning to, you can do it. No one looks at a baby trying to crawl and bashes them. Like, no one. Actually, you'll just be taken into a mental health institution or something like that. No one. No one. But now when we grow up, and putting that to yourself, how much more do you need? Like, do you think that when you grow up, then you don't need kindness? You don't need to speak to yourself kindly, or people don't need to speak to you kindly? you know. So speak to yourself the way you would speak to a baby. Speak to yourself the way you speak to that plant that you love and you nurture. And watch yourself grow. Those who have children know, like I was doing something else. How to make children be able to respond in a positive way, or even to believe in themselves. You know what you do? You speak kindly to them. You tell them, "Wow, you did a good job. Well, you can do better. I mean, you were able just to get here. You can do better. You have the potential within you." And that child, their eyes become bigger. You know, they're able to smile. They know that mom or dad believes in me. And that is what I'm calling you to do. Speak to yourself kindly. I believe that you can be able to do that which you think is seemingly difficult. So after reading that chapter, and there was this question that was asked, and I want to ask you, what do you see? What do you see? And I, after reading that, like, I answered this question in a futuristic manner. Like, I see myself being this and doing this, the things that maybe I will be called to do right now and be like, I cannot do that, I don't want to. No, I have now a good perspective of my abilities, and not me, but because I know that God is behind me. God is fanning the flames within me. So I'm not doing this in my own strength. And that is what I challenge you to do. It will be very bad for me not to read the scripture. There's something that I read this week, and I want just to share with you, even as I finish, just to let you know that God is behind you. So I was reading the story of the children of Israel when they're preparing to leave, Egypt. After all those hardships and the slavery, and Moses now just wants to lead them into the where God had asked him to. And we all know the story of how he used to come to before Pharaoh and tell him this, and let my people go. Plague 1, plague 2, plague 3 comes, but this guy is not budging. So there's before the plague of, is it after the plague of locusts? Is it after the plague of locusts that yes, it is after the plague of locusts in Exodus chapter 10. And Moses comes before him and tells him what he wants to do. We will go with our young and our old, with our sons and our daughters, with our flocks and our herds. We must go. We must go and hold a feast to the Lord. And this is what Pharaoh said. And I want you to take it as voices and enemy taunting and mocking you. Even you yourself. You can actually be an enemy to yourself. So he said, the Lord had better be with you when I let you and your little ones go. The Lord had better be with you. And you know how I read it? Like, I read it at first and I just, underlined it. But then the next day during time of prayer, it came to me in a very different way. That how the enemy can taunt us. We have said we are activating our faith. You said we're creating new memories. God is creating a new mind and a new heart in us. We are speaking kindly to ourselves. Yes, we can do this. Like, there's an opportunity for me to take it up. Yes, I can do this. And then the enemy at the back of, he whispers this to you: the Lord had better be with you. You're choosing to do this? The Lord had better be with you. Because if not, actually says, if not, beware, for evil is ahead of you. And sometimes this has come from our friends. It has come from ourselves, our families. You're taking up this job that caused you to be in a different place, move countries. You're going to live among people that you don't know. Are you sure about it? The Lord had better be with you. And remember, Moses was being instructed by God every day. So he knew that God had said, leave. And then someone come and say, the Lord had better be with you. At that point, you'll be like, okay, is the Lord really with me? Am I hearing right? Stuff like that. But we all know the story That was the 8th plague. There's the 9th and the 10th. Moses went ahead and did what God had asked him to do. And was the Lord with him? Absolutely, the Lord was with him. So that conviction, that conviction that the Lord will be with me regardless will make all these other voices null and void. And that is what I would want to end with and tell you that if you're launching into something, if you're believing yourself to do something, if you're believing yourself to start something, and the enemy whispers, the Lord had better be with you. And you know the way it will be, the Lord had better be with you. Because if not, evil is ahead of you. And imagine you're going to a place that you don't, even these people had never been to Mount Moriah, where they went to search. They had never been there. And this is someone, anaambia wale wengine, the children of Israel. He's taking them where even he himself, he's not sure the journey will be with thousands of people. But God was with them. I just want to tell you that the Lord is with you. The Lord is with you. So scrap off that struggling mentality, scrap off that lack mentality, and walk in the abundance of what God has in store for you. Because it is not you who lives, but God who lives inside of you. And if he handled a dead body, man, he can handle a living one like you. So thank you so much, guys, for coming to my live. Thank you, Rose. I hope you are blessed by this live, and see you again in another video. Bye.